Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another review. This is another paid request, and this time it is from Martin, who wanted me to review the full Monty. Now, for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, commentaries, reactions, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, the full Monty came out in 1997, and from what I understand, some of the people making it and some of the actors, they thought this film would do nothing. Fox Searchlight was just going to shove it direct to video. But it came out, did pretty good business, got a lot of critical accolades, and was nominated for Best Picture. I think Best Screenplay, but Best Screenplay was won by Good Will Hunting, and Best Picture was won by Titanic. But the Full Monty, while is very British, as in a lot of heavy slang that I didn't really understand what they were saying, to be honest, a good chunk of the time. It's a heartfelt movie. It's a fun, heartfelt movie about the characters were likable. Despite the plot, the film is not as raunchy as you would think it is, which is, I prefer. Because it's about a group of people, most of them trying to find jobs. Robert Carlyle, who I remember from Ravenous, he was the bad guy in The World Is Not Enough. He's been in other stuff. He was in 28 Weeks Later. He was really good in Ravenous. He plays our lead. Him and his buddy, Dave, they go off to steal some metal, some random metal in order to sell it. But from time to time they get locked in the facility. And Robert Carlyle has a son. He has this bit of stuff dealing with... You've seen this before. The ex-wife is going to take the son away, but then he needs to pay some money, so he needs some money, so he's got to find a way to get the money. We've seen that before in quite a few films. Custody for the kid. They share custody, but she wants sole custody, all that jazz. So him and his buddy Dave get the idea of, there's these guys that are like Chippendale dancers. They're strippers. And they make a lot of money. At one point, some in one night made $10,000. So hey, we could maybe do something like this. So they get other people. They get Tom Wilkinson, who I've seen in a few films. He was you find out to be one of the bad guys in Rush Hour, the first one. He was in other stuff too. He's a guy who knows a bit about dancing, a little bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but a bit more proper. And they get some others through these trials. One guy doesn't know how to dance, but he has a big... One guy, he knows a little bit about dancing, even though he's a bit older. And pretty much them trying to figure out what to do in order to get this gig later on. And it's the interactions of these characters. There's an interaction and little ups and downs they go through. I thought the tone was fairly consistent. It didn't go into a lot of melodrama that seemed off-kilter for the plot. The acting, I think, is pretty solid all around. It's heartfelt. It has a heartfelt sensibility to it. Like I said, for a movie dealing with strippers and all that, it's not as raunchy as you would think at all, which I think wasn't needed in this. And some of the moments were chuckle-worthy. I did chuckle at some of the dialogue bits between the characters. Like one of the trials, they looked at someone, they go, "The lunchbox has landed." And they're watching Flashdance to study, and one's complaining, "That's not how you do a steel worker. That's not how you do it. Look, she's messing up the thing." Or there's another scene where they're waiting in line, and on the radio, whatever you want to call it, not the radio, but the music on the speakers start having the song Hot Stuff. And even though they're waiting in line, they start moving. Like they're so used to gearing up for this gig, they're even dancing a little bit in line. But it doesn't come off as random or as silly as it sounds. I keep saying heartfelt. Like, each of the characters, like Robert Carlyle, they don't make him too much of a dick where, like, there's a bit where the kid's ready to give him money in order to get into this gig, and he's like, no, I can't do that. Yeah, I believe in you. And even Robert Carlyle was like, you do? Like, he's very sincere dumbfoundedness that his kid believes in him. But that was kind of sweet. Or his buddy Dave, he's conscious of his body, and he keeps going back and forth, and at one point he doesn't want to do it at all. And the wife at first states that he's sleeping with someone. He's like, no, no. When he tells her, he's like, who wants to see this dance? And she's like, me. And I thought that was a really sweetness between these two and their marriage. Tom Wilkinson, again, doing the best that he can. Him and his home have this fascination with gnomes. At one point, just throwing out, I thought you liked the gnomes. No, I never did. In fact, I think even two of the supporting characters, they fall in love with each other. But it's not, like nowadays, they'd hone that in and beat you over the head. No, that's just what happens. And it is what it is, and nothing to it. And there are critics that go into the details about how it's about the common working man who are in dire straits of their community and jobless, and how, despite the hardships of going on in the real world, they're able to get into this silly routine and come out on top. Usually when I watch movies, it's cool to have that stuff, but I think of just sort of the up front and center, is it funny, or is it scary, or is it adrenaline pumping, and to me, there was enough chuckles that got me a good smirk here and there. It got me enough. It's pretty short. I mean, it doesn't overstay its welcome. Other moments that made me chuckle, like there's a bit where they kind of gear one of them up to steal this VHS tape, and when it comes out, he immediately makes a run for it. He's able to make it. There's one bit I thought was a bit, I don't know if there was stuff cut out. It seems as if Robert Carlyle's ex-wife is noticing his demeanor, and she doesn't have a complete change of heart, but I guess it's like leaning a bit towards she looks at him as a different way. I didn't really get a lot of that. I mean, his son says that she's out there, but I didn't really get why that's the case. As to her changing her mind a little bit about her ex-husband, I didn't really see a whole lot of that. So I don't know if that was stuff that was cut out or wasn't done as much as it could. I maybe would have liked one more time, like maybe one more montage of them dancing before, like tours so nice before the gig, and you see them get a little bit better as time goes on. Just before that, they have a little bits, and that was fun. Like they're trying to dance, and one takes out his belt and accidentally hits the other guy in the face. Like I said, this is a movie that at times I had to use subtitles to understand what was going on, and even like, what does that slang mean? But overall, I would say I didn't really have a lot of issues with the film. I didn't really have a lot of issues with the story. Now, the director, I guess apparently he didn't do a whole lot. He did that film The Rocker with Rainn Wilson. I just say I like this film much more than The Rocker. And again, I'm not a guy who's big in the British comedies, but this one I thought it had enough sincerity, enough heart, had a decent establishment of his characters. Not all of them, to be fair. Like, when I say that, I mean like Robert Carlyle and his friend Dave, a bit more Tom Wilkinson. But maybe, okay, when I say that, A little bit more Tom Wilkinson later on. Just like he gets kicked out by his wife, but I don't remember there was any summation of. Yeah, there's a bit where he's about ready to go to a new job, then he's going to do this one more gig, but did he get back with his wife? Is there any moments between him and his wife that's on the cutting room floor? And was his wife even there during the whole end strip dance thing? Like Tom Wilkinson's wife? Maybe a little bit more detail in that character. The two guys falling in love. You know, it's nice, and I say it's nice they don't beat you over the head with it, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like there's any development that is going in that route. It does pop out of nowhere. Like, pretty much the cops, they're trying to do a test run of dancing and stripping. Cops come, two of them get away, and then they go through a window, then they look at each other, then all of a sudden they're in love. Then there's not really any... I'm not saying you need to beat over the head like I said before, but there's not really any development to that. There's not really any build-up as to why that came to be. It just happens, and that's just what it is. The older guy, there's not really much to his character. Like, I thought the actor did a fine enough job, but I can't remember any other bits of his character, like background or backstory or anything of the sort. And like he could do like the mashed potato and all this dance, but that didn't really come into play later on in the story. It was still Tom Wilkinson teaching them about, they're showing them flash dance or teaching them other stuff. So again, I don't know. It's because it's a short enough film. I don't know if there's other stuff on the cutting room floor to establish more of those. There's main 6 dancers. Like, the first 3, including Robert Carlyle, does a decent enough job, but the other 3, they could have been a bit more. So yeah, I don't know. It just, there wasn't enough time, or it's like that's not what's meant to be, or what the deal is, but I don't know. It is what it is. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. It's a decent enough film overall. And I mean, I don't know if I would call it Best Picture nominated worthy, but it's pretty decent film. And you know, even the end with the strip dancing, ready to go the full Monty, go all out. Again, it's not as raunchy as you think it is, and it is like a feel-good comedy. That despite how you look, and despite what people say, if you have enough people that appreciate you and give you the motivation, that even these blue-collar guys can make one moment to shine, and maybe even make a little bit of money along the way. So, granted, it doesn't say like Robert Carlyle, is he going to get a job to keep making these payments? Or they? It doesn't show like later on they're going to like how much they're with Robert Carlyle, is he going to get? It doesn't really showcase that either. But like I said, that's what I mean. I don't know if there's stuff cut out of this, but overall, yeah, it was better than I thought it would be. Because like, okay, it's a British comedy. I'm not really into that stuff. I'm not a Monty Python guy. I'm sorry, I'm not. I've never been a Monty Python guy. I know some people wanted me to review. I did some like British TV shows. They weren't really for me. But this I did like. This I did overall enjoy. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.